there are a few reasons why. I'll give you a few reasons why penny stocks just absolutely suck. Number one, penny stocks have something called a lack of liquidity. Basically, these markets are very, very bad. So even if your stock goes up, your ability to sell it is really muted because in many cases there are not enough buyers on the other side. And so you end up paying a very high transaction cost in order to make that sale. So they call it the bid-ask spread, and the spreads on these stocks end up becoming astronomical. And next thing you know, you end up losing a bunch of money because you bought into the dream and it turned into a nightmare. And then here's the other thing too: if that stock deflates, if it actually goes down and you just want to get out of the investment, your ability to get out of the investment is really limited as well. So a lot of times one of the biggest things that I tell you all about investing in terms of being a smart investor is be really thoughtful about not just how to get into an investment, always think about how you can get out. It's like you walk into a building, you want to know where the fire exits are. You want to know how to get out of that building in case that building starts to burn down. And so ultimately, if you look at a lot of the deals, I see a lot of people make things like real estate deals and stuff like that. And it's almost all the time, especially when you talk about sort of these private equity scenarios where it's like somebody offering you a chance to invest in something. It's almost always much easier to get your money into something than it is to get your money out, right? Let me know if you've seen this, right? It's easier to for them to take your money than it is for them to give you your money back. And getting your money back can take weeks, months, years, right? Good putting your money in. It's like, here, click this button, give me your credit card, swipe your card, right? And so I would be really careful about sort of getting into anything that doesn't have liquidity where you can't see a clear exit. Most of the best investors in the world, they're always asking like, well, what's the exit? What's the exit? Okay. So the other thing about why you should avoid penny stocks at all costs is another thing that has to do with just market manipulation. Now, a lot of you have asked me, basically, do I think Donald Trump is manipulating the stock market? I say absolutely. Yeah, he's the president of the United States. He knows that his words have power. Donald Trump isn't just manipulating the market as president. He was doing this 30, 40 years ago. Donald Trump was manipulating the stock market in the 1980s, not because he was president, but because he had a powerful name and his name would move the market. So if Donald Trump, so back in the 80s, you had a lot of leverage buyouts and hostile takeovers. At that time, Trump was famous. He was known for being the rich guy. And he would go and he would spread a rumor to say that he was about to buy up this company, right? So he would let everybody think that he was going to buy this company or acquire this company, and he started accumulating lots and lots of shares of stock in that company. And then after everybody starts buying and the price starts going up, he would come out and say, "Oh, I never officially said I was going to buy anything," and then he would sell. He would sort of do a pump and dump kind of thing, right? This happens a lot. This does occur in the market. If you ask me, is America, is there some manipulation? Is there some corruption? I would say absolutely yes, but that does not mean you don't participate in the market because I've mentioned to you all a million times, the stock market is the number one wealth builder in America. I could pretty much predict how wealthy you are or how wealthy you're going to be literally by asking you one question. Do you consistently invest in the stock market? If the answer is yes, the odds of you being wealthy are much, much higher. The odds that you're going to be wealthy are much, much higher. And then I might ask some follow-up questions like, when you buy your stock, do you sell the stock quickly? Or, like, are you a day trader or are you an investor? A lot of people think that traders are investors. Traders are not investors. That's like saying that every person who has a one night stand is really trying to be a parent and have a long-term relationship. People that do one night stands are not trying to get married. People that do one night stands are not trying to raise kids. People that do one night stands are not trying to be with you for 20 or 30 years. So there's a difference. You have to break out the two categories and make sure you're clear, right? Not judging people that do one night stands. I'll just say that if your goal is to build a family and lasting relationships that'll sustain you when you get older, one night stands usually won't do that, right? You can't go back to some lady you had a one night stand with in 2004 and say, "Hey, I'm sick. I have cancer. I'm old now. Will you come take care of me? Will you pick me up from the hospital?" She's gonna be like, "Who are you again? I don't remember. I don't remember you. I'm going to see my husband now." And so long story short. Investing's the same way. You got to ask yourself, are you a long distance runner? Are you a sprinter? And so I'm not judging. I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't do. I can just say that the sprinters don't usually have long term money. The long term, but the distance runners do. In fact, I spent a lot of time last night. I had a long conversation last night with a couple friends from Colorado about the relationships and things like that, and we were just sort of talking about that in terms of I said, well, if you look at broken relationships in America, our relationships are broken for the same reason that we're fat. Our relationships are broken for the same reason that many Americans are broke and living paycheck to paycheck. It really comes down to embracing the idea of delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is not, it's not lit. Delayed gratification ain't cool for a TikTok dance. Delayed gratification will not give you the opposite of delayed gratification, which is instant gratification. Delayed gratification is boring. Delayed gratification doesn't appear on the covers of magazines like Diddy used to. Delayed gratification is not something that people get excited about. But delayed gratification is what sustains you. So delayed gratification is what builds that 30-year marriage, right? Delayed gratification is what keeps that person in shape so that as they get older, they're going to have, a healthy body and they're going to live longer, not die from preventable diseases. Delayed gratification is what sustains you in terms of wealth. People that play the long game, thank you, Charles Johnson. People that play the long game usually win the game. People that play the short game lose the game, right? So my goal for you is I don't want you to be a loser. I don't want you to be a loser. A lot of people are losing right now in this society. A lot of people are losing financially, living paycheck to paycheck, struggling, don't know why they're struggling. Because I'm a financial scientist, I can tell you why, how this happened, right? We can dissect, we can do the autopsy on your dreams and your goals and your objectives, and we can figure out the cause of death of your economic dream, right? That's easy to do. Also, when you talk about delayed gratification, if you talk about just the other areas, healthy relationships, healthy fitness, and things like that, these things appear to be disconnected from your wealth. But as we've discussed in this class, those things are directly connected to your wealth. For example, if you ever want to go broke, go eat a bunch of cheeseburgers every day, become morbidly obese, go get diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and spend all your time in the hospital and at doctor's visits, buy and all your last dollar in medication and surgeries. And I want you to then look at your bank account after that. I want you to look at your bank account after the medical system has literally gone through and ravaged all of your economic security. I want you to see what it looks. Tell me, do you think it would have a positive effect or a negative effect? I don't know. It's up to you to decide that. Or again, we talk about relationships. If you if you don't believe relationships and wealth are connected, then I want you to go in through life and I want you to have a bunch of meaningless, worthless relationships. I want you to go sleep with some OnlyFans models, like Shannon Sharp. Get some wealth and then go sleep around. I think Tyler Perry's got a $250 million lawsuit right now, related to some guy that he was sleep. I mean, come on, everybody knew Tyler Perry liked dudes. I mean, come on, it's funny that this is the biggest, like, loudest, most unkept secret in the world, right? But yeah, he's getting sued by some actor over something related to sex, and he was sending him all these steamy text messages. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know if he was harassing the guy or not, but still, you're right. These lawsuits happen. If you don't believe relationships and money have an impact on or connected to each other, then just get like two or three divorces. And I want you to go back and I want you to do an inventory of how much time you spent stressed out and fighting in your relationship that you could have spent building your business. I want you to imagine how much wealth you could have had if your person that you're fighting against that's trying to destroy you had actually been an ally and was working to help you build. And then I want you to go and I want you to account for all the money that you had to pay lawyers. And then I want you to also account for the split in your assets. Like Travis Hunter, this really great football player. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. He got married right before he signed his $46 million contract, and he did not get a prenup. So I'm pretty much in my head already calculating the fact that there's a good chance he won't keep. He's going to lose half his money. And I hate saying that. I don't want to be a pessimist. I wish him the very best, but the signals just don't really add up. I don't really. I haven't seen a lot of scenarios where a 21-year-old super athlete who's world famous, that gets married, has a lasting marriage that doesn't end up in a disaster. But you never know. Maybe he's got a spouse that will stay married no matter what. Kobe Bryant had that. Kobe Bryant married a woman that believed in staying married to him, despite some of the stuff that happened with him. And again, I don't know if y'all remember. Kobe got accused of sexual assault. I don't know if he did it or not. I'm going to assume that he did not do it, but I do know that I remember noticing, and it was very interesting to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember noticing. I found it very interesting that everybody was caught up in whether or not Kobe raped the lady or not. If you remember the story, anybody, how many of y'all, give me a guess if you remember when Kobe was accused of sexual assault. Anybody remember that or remember watching that or paying attention to that? It was a long time ago now, maybe 20 years ago. And I didn't believe he committed assault. I just didn't. It didn't add up to me, honestly. I need proof, right? But here was the thing that was really fascinating to me. I said, isn't it interesting that everybody's focused on whether he's guilty or not? Like it's an on-off switch. Like yes, yay or nay. Like either he's a good person or a bad person. And nobody really thought about just the sheer danger of a man after Magic Johnson sleeping with a woman that he just met 45 minutes ago and sleeping with her with no condom and this being a woman that had slept with that had the semen, I think she had the semen of two or three other men in her underwear from the same week, right? And then you're bringing all those germs back home to your wife, right? And they're not, some of them may not be germs, it would be viruses, right? And I'm not saying that this is what happened with Kobe. I'm saying that it was really amazing to me that I was the only one who, I was like, am I the only one who thinks this is crazy? I just, I mean, I was like, you need to get your ass kicked just for what you just did. I'm not even judging. I'm not even saying that you committed the assault. I'm not even judging you for infidelity. A lot of the athletes do that. You marry an athlete, you in for something, right? I was just like, just the lack of discernment, the lack of emotional intelligence, the lack of discipline. What I mean, you what if you sleep with this nasty lady? And I'm gonna say nasty. I don't want to make it sound like it, but she kind of nasty. Let's be real. That's kind of nasty. You got the stuff from three dudes. And come on, that's gross. And maybe he's gross. It's up to you to decide that. It's up to you. He's deceased, so I'm gonna be respectful in my language. But I was like, that's so fascinating to me that we live in a society where we just see that and we overlook it. Nobody notices that. The consequences, right? And so when he's sitting at the press conference and she's got this big old $50,000 diamond ring on her finger and he's apologizing to her, I'm like, what are you really apologizing for? Are you apologizing for the infidelity or are you apologizing for something worse that the public does not know about? Right? Because that some things are hard to apologize for. So ultimately, let's circle this back to the wealth thing. I think that with Kobe, if you wanted to ask me, like, because everything relates to wealth, if you were to ask me, where's the wealth conversation here, Dr. Boyce? Why are you just hating on Kobe? First of all, I'm not hating on Kobe. He was a great basketball player, but being a great basketball player doesn't mean you're a great person all the way around, right? But we tend to assume celebrities are wonderful people, and it's up to you to make that decision. I honor Kobe as an athlete for sure. I don't know him as a man, but the wealth implication for sure would be the fact that sometimes when people are wealthy and powerful, we really gloss over character flaws, right? We tend to really think that, like, remember 8 years ago, if I could have put Diddy on on the cover of a magazine and said, this is Black excellence. This is a role model. This is something that our kids can look up to. This is something that we can admire as Black people. And people would have agreed with me. Nobody would have said, oh, no, you can't do that. This man, he's doing freak offs and he been dancing. He been dancing like a 12-year-old for the last 25 years. He's a clown. And you wouldn't have said those things. You would have said, yeah, I agree. Because remember, he was actually standing next to Barack Obama telling Black people who to vote for. Right. And I remember just sitting there saying, no, I listen to smart people. I want to. I Dr. Claude Anderson could tell me who to vote for, but not a rapper, not a guy that dances all the time. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, she could tell me who to vote for, and I would listen. But not a hip hop artist unless the artist has proven to me that they got some specialized training in that area, right? And so really, I think that a lot of the bad culture really comes from the fact that money causes us to assume that people are intelligent when maybe they're not. Money causes us to assume that people are qualified for things that they're not qualified for. Money causes us to assume that people are good people when really some of them are terrible people. I've met enough famous people to tell you that some of them, Lord Jesus, if you met them in person, you would not be impressed, right? And I'm like, man, everybody loves you because you made that album, but you suck as a human being. You suck as a dad. You suck as a friend. You suck as a you just suck, man. You're terrible. But people, because we have this very myopic as in short-sighted, very simple-minded low vibrational culture that's heavily marketed to us. This culture that really discourages critical thinking. They literally make fun of you if you analyze and dissect things in a really thoughtful way. People look beyond all that. But I'm hopeful that because you're here, you're not in that category. I'm hopeful that you can understand that things have shades of gray. Nothing is black and white, right? There's really such a thing as like purely good people and purely bad people. Pure good and evil, pure, nothing's pure, right? But at the same time, everything has nuance, and I encourage you to pay attention to those nuances. Now, let me give you a couple more things about penny stocks that I hope will help you in your investing journey. And also, I want to remind everybody in just 8 weeks, the All Black National Convention is going to happen. And this is where we all get together. We're going to get together in Atlanta. It's going to be the biggest ever. Thousands of people, business owners, parents, therapists, medical doctors. It is the biggest black think tank on the planet in terms of bringing together intelligent black people from all backgrounds. And you ain't got to be intelligent to be there. You just have to want to be intelligent. You have to value intelligence, to value family. If you value wealth, then this is obviously the place to be. I was talking to a young black man the other day. He's 21 years old and he's dealing with a lot. His mother got diagnosed with a pretty bad illness, and he's having to handle all this. And I told him, I said, "Look, man, you're going to be pushed in ways nobody else, people are rarely pushed. You're going to be challenged in significant ways, but you're going to win. You're going to succeed because I already see the CEO in you. I see the boss in you. I see the leader in you. So the fact that you're 21 and you're even having this conversation with me right now tells me that you're meant to overcome all this, and and this is going to be part of your story. This is going to be your superhero origin story, and you're going to be a millionaire because you're already hanging around millionaires at the age of 21. So the All Black National Convention, you get a chance to hang around smart people. You get a chance to hang around family-oriented people. You get a chance to hang around millionaires. You get to hang around the talented 10th, meaning I'm not talking about people with fancy degrees or people that have a bunch of money in the bank. I'm talking about people that really have a vision for their lives, a vision for the community, a vision for you, a love for you. They love you before they even meet you. They love you before they know you because they understand that you're there for the same reason. And so when you connect, it's going to be really powerful. So if you're a young woman looking for a good man, lots of good men. Most of the young guys that are in their 20s and 30s that follow me, they know what I'm all about. They know what we're all about. They know what this is all about. They know that this is about family and about love and about respecting women and about doing your best. You meet some good men at the convention. If you're looking for a nice woman, the women that participate in what we do, they understand the value of family. They understand the value of community. They understand the value of building. She's not gonna tell you to go blow all your whole stash on a Gucci bag. She's gonna say, "Why don't we put that money down on some real estate?" Right? She's not gonna care if you take her to Cheesecake Factory or a five-star restaurant. She that won't matter because she's gonna look at the bigger picture in terms of what kind of person you are, how whether she can build with you. If you're looking for friends, these are good friends. If you're looking for business partners, these are people that many of them have read the Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, so they understand what it means to build as a collective. So the All Black National Convention is going to be in Atlanta, August 21st to the 23rd, and it's going to and if you want to get passes, you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Okay, so let's finish up on penny stocks really quick. So more things about penny stocks. I grabbed some stats that's really interesting. Number one, about 90% of penny stocks fail within a few years. How many of y'all knew that? That most penny stocks actually fail? 90%. That's crazy, right? So that means you have a 90% chance of losing all your money if you buy a penny stock. Good luck with that. Good luck investing. I don't think that you can build wealth if you're throwing your wealth away. I don't think you can build a building if you're destroying the building as you build it. Right? I don't think you can build a building if you're building on top of quicksand. I don't think you could build a building in the middle of a tornado. So keep that in mind. Another reason you should avoid penny stocks is many of them are manipulated through pump and dump schemes. So it's like Donald Trump on steroids, right? I've agreed with many of you, and I still agree that there is manipulation of the market at the top. Trump makes a lot of money. He cares about money, and I know you care about money too in your own way. Maybe not in the same way he does. And so there is that manipulation, but if you want to see really extreme manipulation, go dig in the penny stock market. There's a lot of market manipulation there. Don't forget that liquidity piece. Liquidity matters. If meaning the ability to sell in case you want to get out. A lot of times you get in, because it's like a financial prison. You get locked into an investment and you can't get out. That's very stressful, very frustrating. Oh, here's another thing that's really interesting. A lot of penny stocks lack financial transparency. They have or they lack the transparency because it's not hard to get into that market. It's not hard to get on the over-the-counter exchange. That's what they call it, or what they call pink sheets. The amount of information you have to reveal before you take money from the public is reduced. Whereas a lot of the companies on the New York Stock Exchange have very stringent requirements for information transparency. That's what makes the market strong is they have to tell you damn near everything. They can't go out and lie to you. They can't manipulate you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm saying that it's much harder to do that when you're talking about the S&P 500 companies. That's why, for example, if you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, the $5 a day plan is there, and that's free. If you literally just did $5 a day in the stock market, and all you did was randomly pick stocks in the S&P 500, or randomly pick stocks that are among the top 100 in the country, you would be wealthy just from that. Like you could literally pick two or three ETFs and just consistently invest. And if you do that, then you would actually climb out of poverty. So here's the rule. The rule in this class is that nobody is stuck in poverty. And that's a really controversial statement. I know it's controversial, but I have a whole PhD to back up everything that I say. I can prove it mathematically. I can prove it theoretically. I can prove it with the research. I can prove it to you and your mama that nobody's locked in poverty. There's no such thing as being trapped in poverty. That is huge for our people to hear, because you hear so often that people will tell you that your condition can't be changed. And that's just crazy to me. In fact, I put some on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. Let me see. I put up a quote that I saw that I really liked. And the quote was simple. It said, most people complain about everything, but don't do anything to change it. Most people complain about everything, but don't do anything to change it. And that I think that's true. I think that there are professional complainers. I think there are people who want to keep you complaining about the problem as opposed to solving it, and that just frustrates the heck out of me. And I think that that's wrong. I think that that's oppressive. I think that that's racist to just teach you how to complain about a problem without teaching you how to fix a problem. Just like a lot of countries that are in poverty. I don't know if y'all know this, but did y'all know that there are studies that show that all the foreign aid that they give to countries that are in poverty, that it never brings them out of poverty? How many of y'all know that? Like literally all the foreign aid, like literally, like none of it works. It becomes an industry. It becomes poverty pimping. Like they build a whole industry around giving foreign aid. So you get identified as the poor kid, so to speak. You get identified as the broke country, then that's your identity. That's who you are, right? So you can't change your identity because that messes up the whole system, because they build a whole system around the identity that they have for you. Like, you know, you're poor. So like it's like you're the disabled kid, so we need you to stay in the wheelchair, right? So we're gonna give you the wheelchair. We're not gonna take any time putting you in rehab. We're not gonna teach you how to walk. And the less you walk, the more disabled you'll become. You'll remain disabled. Like, so even if your legs are healthy, even if you could have walked, you'll never know, because I defined you as the disabled kid in the beginning. It reminds me of a kid I knew who went to high school, and he was graduating high school. And at the age of 18, as a high school graduate, he could not read and he could not write. And I remember asking him, I said, so what did you do in school every day? They had you in school for roughly, what is that? About what is about 6 7 hours, 6 hours a day. Let's see, they did about 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 30 hours a week. So let's say they had you 40 weeks a year, not including summer. So 30 hours a week, 40 weeks a year. That's 1,200 hours a year they had you. So over a decade, they had you for 12,000 hours, and then an extra 2 years because you're in school for about 12 years. So they had you for about 14,000 hours. They had 14,000 hours of continuous time with you. I can show you how to invest in about 20 minutes. I can show you how to start a business in about probably 5 hours. But they had you for 14,000 hours, and you still can't read, you still can't write. I could write the word cat on a piece of paper. I would ask him, what's this word? And he would say, gorilla. Like he would literally, it was like that, right? It wasn't like he would say kit, like something that sounds like cat. It was like gorilla or banana or hamburger, right? So here's what he told me. Check this out. This is what's interesting. This is why I don't want you to get caught in the struggling Negro box. What he said was, That basically he got identified early as learning disabled, even though he played video games like a genius, right? He could get on the video game. He could figure out the video game, but he couldn't, for some reason, he couldn't figure out how to read the word cat. And and also he knew all his favorite rap songs. You know the drill. You know the formula, right? And he knew how to get a gun. I didn't know how to get a gun, but he figured out how to get a gun. I didn't know where to get a gun, and so what he said was he would go to school every day, and they because he got identified as learning disabled, they put him in a room with other learning disabled black boys. It was mostly black boys in this room. Y'all know how the public school does. They really don't want your son to be successful. That would disrupt the whole system. There's a whole economy built around black failure and black struggle and black pain and black incarceration. I mean, billions are made just from incarceration alone. And so in this room, I said, "Well, what did you do in the room?" He said, "Well, they would read to us all day. That was it. They didn't bother to teach them how to read. They just would read to them because they're like, because obviously you're mentally disabled, and because we care about you, air quotes, we're not going to force you in stress, to do this stressful thing like learning how to read." And so as a result, he never learned how to read, but he heard a bunch of stories because the teacher would just read to them all day. And even when they were 16 years old, he would read to them like they were seven. And so ultimately, when you get stuck in that poverty box and you get identified that way, and you start to embrace the struggle, it's a type of incarceration. It's socially incarcerating in the sense that society identifies you in a certain way. So it's like, oh, you poor little baby, you can't do anything for yourself, and then you identify yourself that way. And what I find a lot of times with wealth, the reason I've had some people get really violently angry with me for even speaking on the possibility of black people building wealth, they get angry because that just disrupts their whole identity of themselves. They're like, wait, who are you, Negro, talking about us being financially secure? Of course, everyone has to go to work. Of course, everyone has to live paycheck to paycheck. Of course, we're all struggling because it's the system, it's them, it's Trump, it's this, that, and the other, right? And and I'm not saying all those things are assets in your life. I'm not saying Trump has your back. I'm not saying the government has your back. I'm the guy who just says I don't think anybody has your back. I don't even think you have your back. I don't think you have your own back because here's the thing. Even if you don't have any money, you have another gift that God gave you called time. And what I would do is I would challenge and I would say, you've got this massive amount of wealth in the form of this thing called time. You don't you don't see it as wealth because you think wealth usually shows up in the form of these worthless little green pieces of paper called dollar bills. You think that little worthless piece of paper that declines in value every year because your government has too much debt, you think that defines how much wealth you have. But what I'd see is I don't see it that way. I see wealth in time. I see wealth in terms of if you're smart and intelligent and you have dreams, and that's wealth. If you have connections with other human beings, that's wealth. If you have family, that's wealth. I look at a big family now very different from the way I looked at it maybe 25 years ago. I went to see this guy named Ben Watson, who played for the Patriots. He's a great guy, and I like him. I'm glad he's my friend. He's going to be at the convention, by the way. And or I don't know. I gotta check what I gotta make sure I even invited him. I think I invited Ben. Sometimes I forget stuff. But anyway, but I love Ben. I thought he was great. And he had seven kids and this beautiful wife he'd been married to for 20 years. And I was like, man, that's so cool. And I was like, that's wealth right there. Like that's your power. That's not just your legacy in terms of people remembering who you are. Like this, you've got the makings of $1 billion corporation in 20 or 30 years. Like you're going to leave your kids some capital because you didn't trick all your money away. You didn't do an Antoine Walker and decide you want to destroy $100 million in generational wealth. You didn't go out here and just get a bunch of girls pregnant and create a bunch of broken families like a lot of these guys do. Unfortunately, they think that the creation of broken families is okay. Well, because you're black, and of course you're supposed to be a single mom. Of course you're supposed to have babies, mamas, right? Like these myths, right? No, what you did was you did one of the things that's really important for wealth. See, wealth is basically kind of like having a bucket full of stuff, right? Let's say your bucket's full of water or something. And if you have a water hose, which is your income and your possibilities, and you spray the water hose everywhere, right? Then your bucket's not going to be very full. Do you see what I mean? Like, or if you're spraying in eight different buckets, then you're not really going to accumulate anything in any particular bucket, right? But smart people that are wealth builders are very thoughtful and strategic, and they make a clear plan about what bucket they're going to pour into. They don't try to pour into 50 buckets, meaning I'm not going to go get 8 girls pregnant. I'm going to get 1 girl pregnant, and I might get her pregnant 8 times because then I'm going to have 8 children. They're going to be in the same household. They're all going to have access to me because this is what they in economics they might call this economies of scale, right? Because we're all in the same house, they all get access to daddy and daddy's guidance and daddy's leadership, and then also they're connected like a spider web. They have connections to each other, just like Dr. George C. Fraser held up that infamous that diagram that showed a bunch of dots and how the dots don't kind of mean anything. They're all separate. But when you connect the dots, you create a spider web. Spider web is one of the strongest materials known to man. Spider webs are incredibly powerful. So instead of me being Spider-Man and spraying everything everywhere, I'm going to create a spider web where I have these 8 children that are all on the same page, raised under the same roof, have the same ideas. They're going to form almost like an economic gang. They're all going to be connected, wired in together for the same goal, which makes them an unstoppable force. Just like my hand, each finger, I couldn't beat any of you up with any finger on my body. If I hit you with my finger, it's not going to hurt. If I hit you with 2 fingers, it may not hurt. It might be able to get a little force behind it, but for the most part, 2 fingers ain't going to do much to you. But if I make a fist and I cock that sucker back, look out. Look out. Right? So the question is, are you building 5 fingers? Are you building a fist? Are you creating a bunch of dots or are you creating a spider web? Cam Newton is creating a bunch of dots. Because why is that? Well, because he's money. Money is the great deceiver. So because he's rich and he's famous, people think that that makes sense. Nick Cannon, a bunch of dots. I got 50 kids splattered everywhere, and I don't know how that's going to work out. I'm not judging their choice or their situation, but there's no power there. There's no black power in splattering your resources in 1,000 different directions. Power comes through aggregation. Power comes through accumulation. Power comes through focus. Power comes through connection. Do you understand? Like think about it in your life. I want you to think about how many times you have been scattered everywhere. I want you to think about how many times you have been doing a million things at one time and you are working so hard that you got nothing done. Anybody ever feel that way? Where you're doing this and doing that and that person, this person, and trying to solve this and do that, and the kids and your husband and blah, 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 and the job and blah, blah, and you just and then you look back, think about this. You look back at your life and you're like, damn, I know I've been working my ass off, but I don't know what I have to show for it. I have nothing to show for it. I don't have no wealth to show. I've been going to work every day, but how the hell am I going to work every day to the point of exhaustion and I have no money in my bank account? How's it that I've been doing everything for everybody everywhere, but I don't even have a family to have my back? I don't have, again, I'm not judging. I'm just describing. I'm and analyzing, right? And I'm gonna tell you, it comes from the lack of focus when it comes to that energy. Energy only becomes energy when it's focused. The more diluted the energy is, the weaker it is. Like there's very few things in the solar system more powerful than the sun. The sun is just a big ball of, it's a big nuclear explosion, basically. It's a big ball of massive energy, and the energy radiates out in a million directions, and all the planets get a little piece of that, right? But imagine if you took the energy of the sun and and just compressed it, put it in a laser. That laser could go through anything. That laser would be unstoppable. And so ultimately, I want you at some point as an investor, because all of you are investors. You're investors just because you're here. You're investing time. You may not be investing money. That's okay. I don't want you to pay money to be here. I want you to pay attention. So you're paying your currency is attention, not money. If you don't think attention has an economic value, go ask Mark Zuckerberg, who makes about $1 billion a year off your attention when you're doom scrolling through Instagram. He's making money from that. So here, I want you to really think about your life and where you're investing anything that's valuable to you. Where are you investing your energy? Where are you investing your time? Where are you investing your money? And I want you to pick your buckets. And don't pick 1,000 buckets. A man's seed, that's wealth. So don't putting your seed into 1,000 different buckets. It's very risky and it's not very beneficial for you. So ultimately, if I look at, say, Ben Watson versus Cam Newton, I see with Ben, I see this amazing legacy. You poured into one bucket. You poured into that woman for 20 years, and that woman has given you 7 amazing children. That's power. That's $1 billion worth of assets right there. And when I see the Cam Newton, it's like I see short-sighted instant gratification, pleasure seeking behavior. I see a new pretty girl, I'm gonna go have sex with her, get her pregnant, and I can do these things because I'm rich and and famous, and it's okay. Everyone thinks it's okay because we come from a culture that historically you've always had the slave breeders and the bucks that and that was glorified. Right. And what I really liked, I don't know if y'all saw this, but there was a great interview he did with K Michelle not long ago, where K Michelle, the singer, she was in tears and she was just saying, how come you men don't want to create families? And now, mind you, women play a role in that too. And like I don't like it when people talk about the black family issue as if it's all men or it's all the women. No, because every man was raised by his mama most likely, right? So women create the men in many cases, and also the men impact the women. So when we point the finger, it doesn't. It's crazy. It's like I don't know. It's like me saying that I'm not successful because of Boyce. And I hate that son of a bitch because Boyce always messes up. Every good situation I get into, he messes things up. And then I say, yeah, but I'm gonna kill that guy. I hate that guy so much. I'm gonna destroy him and I'm gonna throw him off a bridge one day because he doesn't deserve to be here. Well, somebody would probably say to me, like, Boyce, what are you talking about? When you kill Boyce, you're killing yourself. Now, if I have multiple personality disorder, I might be like, no, 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 no. I can kill Boyce and I'm gonna be okay. Because I ain't him. That guy, he's a worthless piece of shit. But let's say I'm Coco. That's my nickname. Coco's cool. Coco's gonna be all right. So if I stab Boyce in the chest, Coco's gonna be okay, right? And so really, that's what I see when you talk about when you're a black man and you are destroying the black woman. I don't understand how you don't even realize that you're destroying yourself. When you talk crazy about the black woman, you're talking crazy about yourself, right? When you alienate the black woman, you're alienating yourself. And women the same thing. When black women say black men are this, black men are that, black men need to stop this and stop doing that, you're pointing at you. You're pointing right. You're like you think you're pointing at him, but really you're pointing in the mirror. You're pointing at yourself. So what that speaks to, in my view, is the only solution for any sort of wealth building journey or personal development journey. It has to start internally. Right. In order for me to confront Boyce, I got to confront Boyce, if that makes any sense. Right. In order for me to confront myself, I can't talk about myself as if I'm a separate person. So you can't talk about black women and black men. If you're a black woman, you can't talk about black men as if you're not part of that process. So the accountability typically starts at home. So when you talk about wealth building through family, wealth building through business, wealth building through other expressions economically, wealth building through physical and mental health, work on your own mental health first. And then you can support others in their own journey to work on their mental. Work on your own physical health first, and then you can support others in their journey. Work on your own financial health first, and then connect with financially healthy people so you can help each other grow. Right? Pointing the finger really doesn't work very well. So I would encourage you to start by pointing right there in the mirror, and also think about the buckets that you're pouring into, so that you can make sure that with all the hard work you're doing, you've got something to show for it. Like really, if you're in an economically efficient atmosphere. If you're an economically efficient person, and I say this as a financial scientist, if you're economically efficient, you should only have to work for about 10 years before you can literally walk away from that job forever. If you are economically efficient, I'm not making fun of anybody. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds difficult. It's completely in contradiction to everything that you've ever heard your whole entire life. But I can explain to you very clearly mathematically why if you work about 10 years, you should be able to at least walk away from the situations that you're in if you want to, right? So you think about things like the $5 a day investing plan, or let's say you do $20 a day, right? So $5 a day, which you can't even buy a McDonald's value meal. A person invests that after about 10 years, based on the history of the S&P 500, they have roughly $29,000 in liquid wealth, 25 to 30,000 in liquid wealth. At that point, you're definitely out of poverty. You're not poor anymore. You're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore because you got $25,000. You're at least somewhat safe for a while, right? You're not totally safe, but you have options, right? And let's say that you partner with someone who has the same mindset. So after 10 years, you don't have, 29,000, you got 58,000 or something like that. And you've got $1 million worth of ideas in terms of the next steps that you might want to make. So let's take that $5 a day plan and let's multiply that by four. Let's say that you're a person that doesn't ever want to work. So instead of investing the $5 a day, which won't buy you a McDonald's value meal, you invest like $20 a day, which might be the amount of money people spend on lunch each day, or the amount of money that might cost you to go to Starbucks and get a couple, a couple of large mocha lattes and a muffin. That's gonna cost you about $20. Okay, so you do $20 a day, which sounds like a lot, but actually, if you go over 30 days, that's about $600 a month. That's a tall order for sure for a lot of people. But I want you to really think about the fact that I know lots of people who are living paycheck to paycheck who spend $600 a month on their car note, right? And that's not, we know ain't nobody really never needed no $600 car note. You could have bought that Toyota Corolla, but you wanted to roll in something nice, and I'm not mad at you for that. That's fine. I'm just telling you to make sure that you're balanced, to make sure that you're investing as much in yourself as you're investing in the car dealer. You're not making him rich and leaving yourself poor. You're making him rich and also making yourself rich. So if you got the ability, if you got it like that, and you have enough money to make yourself rich and make other people rich at the same time, God bless you. I'm not here to stop it at all. All right. So $600 a month, that's the $5 a day plan times four. Well, after 10 years, on average, you're talking about over $100,000 in liquid wealth. Over $100,000 in liquid wealth. There's nobody. Give me a yes if you agree with this. If you have over $100,000 liquid in your bank in your stock portfolio, and let's say you've even got some home equity to go with it, do you really have to go to work if you don't want to? Like if you absolutely positively had to stop working, would you at least kind of feel like I'm gonna be okay? Like I'm not saying that you're set for life. I'm not saying that you never have to figure out ways to make more money, but would you at least feel like you have some breathing room, right? Like would you like really I'd be like, okay, well, you know what? I needed that job, I needed the income, but we got 120K in the bank, so we gonna chill for a minute. We're gonna go on vacation and think about what our next move is gonna be, right? So then at that point, you're kind of in this really beautiful floating space where you can breathe easy. There's no night sweats over money. There's no sort of constant stress and pressure and anxiety that really affects your mental health because the money's tight, right? It's hard to go through life when money's always tight. It sucks when money's blocking you from everything that you love, everything that you want to do. You're like, man, I would love to go on a cruise, but damn, the money. I'd love to take a vacation because I need a mental health break, but the money, right? I'd love to go see my mama before she dies, but I can't because of the money. I got to go back to work. There was that sister that I told you all about a long time ago, who said, she said, I've known you a long time, Boyce, and I never listened to what you had to say about the money stuff because I didn't think that that was relevant to me. She said, but where it hit me was my mother was dying and we knew she was dying and I wanted to spend every second of the day with my mother. And she said that there was a day when my boss said that if you don't come into work, you're going to get fired. So I had to leave my dying mother's bedside to go to my job. And she said, that's when I started to listen to you more. And I said, man, and I said, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I said, and if what you said is really the crux of why I do what I do every day, because I want you to understand, I don't talk about money because I worship money or I love money. I talk about money because there are so many things that are more important than money. See, money is either the great liberator or it can be the great blocker, right? It can either be the liberator that opens the gate and opens you up to a whole new universe where money is not a barrier, or it can block you from that. It can block you from your the highest version of yourself, right? And so money, so think about it, like think about money like the gate. If I walk through the gate and I know that on the other side of that gate there's peace, on the other side of that gate there is happiness. On the other side of that gate, there's a low stress, loving environment. There's fulfillment on the other side of that gate. The gate is not important. I'm not here for the gate. I'm not worshiping the gate. I just want to open the damn gate. I just want the key to open that damn thing, and I'm not even thinking about the gate. So money, in my view, money is the gate, or maybe it's the key to opening the gate. And then once you open the gate, you ain't thinking about the gate no more. You're thinking about all the things that were being blocked from you because the gate was there. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Right? So don't focus on the gate. Focus on what's beyond the gate. Don't focus just on the money. Money is a problem to be solved so that you can get to all these beautiful things God gave you that are so much more valuable than money. Your health is far more valuable than money. Your mental health, your happiness is far more valuable than money. That woman you love, that man you love is far more valuable than money. Those children, those grandkids, they're far more valuable than money. Having just the ability to walk away from stressful situations is far more valuable than money. Your peace, all these things. So focus on that. And think in the money part, honestly, one of my limitations as a finance professor, honestly, was like I studied money extensively, like a lot, but money just didn't really do it for me. I was obsessed with money as an 18-year-old because I didn't have any. And like a lot of other 18-year-olds, I thought that once I had enough money, everything was going to be peaches and cream and wonderful. And so I studied money all the time because I didn't have any. And then I had enough. And then I was like, okay, well, it's not a big deal now. There's so many things in life that are so much more important than money. But mastering money is essential for our people because money is the demon that's used to keep you in that cage. Economic oppression is the worst type of racism that exists in America. And in fact, it's the most effective kind of control. Uh, America is a country where, or if you go around the world, they're constantly imposing economic sanctions on other countries. They're constantly using their economic power to incentivize specific behavior and to stop other kinds of behavior. Like we don't want you to build a nuclear weapon, so we're going to do economic sanctions on you. We don't want you to invade Ukraine, so we're going to impose economic sanctions on you. So if they're imposing economic sanctions on other countries, Russia and Ukraine, and I think 65% of the world's countries have been hit with economic sanctions from the United States. Don't you think that they're doing economic sanctions on the black community too? I mean, you are their in-house enemy, right? You're like these I don't know. I almost wonder like if maybe we're seen as like these stinky dogs. Like where you love the dog, but you don't really want to like sleep with the dog, but you love the dog and you want the dog. If the dog runs away, you're gonna chase the dog down. You want the dog tied to a tree so he can't get away, but you don't really see the dog as an equal. Like you don't want the dog sitting at the head of the dinner table. You don't want the dog to drive the family car, right? Right? But you love the dog, right? Because you know how white people love their dogs. Like they lick them in the mouth and stuff. That's just nasty. There's like, do you know there's more germs on a dog's tongue than there are, I think, on a toilet seat or something, which is crazy, right? But yeah, but anyway, and if you're a dog lover, I'm not making fun of you. I'm not saying that you're acting white. It's okay to love a dog. We got a dog. I love him. I like that dog. But anyway, my point is to say that overall, um, that sort of control, money is used as the primary tool for the imposition of various forms of racial control in America. And it's not just based on race. Like they're not just doing it because you're black. They're doing it because being black makes you automatically weak in America in their minds, right? Being black means that you're exposed very early to a lot of preconditioning in terms of your psychology that builds you for slavery. Like many of us are super excited about working for white people. We're super excited about, moving to white neighborhoods. We're super excited about giving $250,000 to a big white university. We get super excited about buying white-owned consumer products, right? So you have things like the Target boycott. I'm not against the Target boycott, but I just sort of politely tell people to consider how much attention you have to give Target to even boycott them, how much you have to actually be connected to that institution to boycott it. And I think that there's a higher level there. I think that we could say, well, we're not boycotting Target because that energy that we could have spent boycotting Target, we're going to put that energy into supporting black-owned businesses. So it's not that we hate Target, but we're so busy loving ourselves that we don't have money left over for Target anyway. So Target, we're not boycotting you. We're not engaging with you at all. We're not even giving you enough energy that there's something to even take away from you. We're not gonna, make the assumption that if you change your behavior, we're gonna go back to giving you billions of dollars because we're so busy loving on ourselves, building our institutions, investing in our families, investing in our own community, that we ain't really got time to invest in your community, right? So in fact, if you think about this, there's the consistent boycott of black-owned businesses, but it's even worse than a boycott. It's a non-acknowledgement. Like I'm not boycotting you because we're not even thinking about you. Right? The white community, they're not boycotting black-owned businesses. They're just not even, they don't exist. How can you boycott something that doesn't exist? Right? So am I boycotting you or not boycotting you? I don't know. Pick whatever answer you want. Either way, you ain't getting my money. right? In fact, there's a term in mathematics. It's really a great. I don't know why I like this concept. It was something that they call something being vacuously true. When I was teaching math at the University of Kentucky, I remember I was in my master's program, and there was something for some reason, this concept fascinated me, and it said something is vacuously true. Basically, if it just doesn't matter what answer you give. So for example, if I say to you, do flying pigs have master's degrees? The answer could be yes or it could be no. It doesn't matter what the answer is because pigs don't fly. Do you see what I mean? Like you're talking about something that doesn't exist. And it lives in the fifth dimension, by the way, because I'm real deep into that type of stuff. Or maybe the sixth dimension, actually. I think the sixth dimension might be maybe fifth. I gotta think about it. But either way, though, like if I say, do flying pigs wear hats on their way to work? The answer, if you say yes, the answer is correct. If you say no, the answer is correct because both of those answers are vacuously true. They're vacuously true because there's no flying pig anyway, right? So again, going back to black-owned businesses, if you say, are white people boycotting black-owned businesses? Yeah, they are. They're not giving them any money. But if you say, are white people not boycotting black-owned businesses? The answer is you can say, yeah, they're not boycotting them. Because they don't even acknowledge them, right? How can you boycott something that doesn't exist that you don't even see? Right. So I think that with Target, I'm okay with the boycott to some extent, but I'm concerned about the boycott because in my view, I'm not really going to see a business in another community before I see what's happening in my own, right? I'm not going to see somebody else's child before I see my own kids. I'm not going to see them before I see you. I see you. You see me. That is power. That means a lot. You see me. And I say that and I tell you how much I appreciate that because you have no idea how many people in the world don't see people like me. Wait, you're an intelligent black man who actually loves black women and wants to build a family and wants to make healthy decisions. Oh, we don't see you. You're not a rapper. You're not a comedian. You're not 6'9", 240 pounds dunking a basketball. Oh, we don't see you. So there's so many people that don't see me. I show up and it's like, you're not the norm. You're not a black man because black men don't look like you. Black men don't think like you. Black men don't do what you do. So no, you're not a fit for our television show because we're looking for black men that fit the description. Like remember, Denzel Washington, one of his greatest performances of all time. Tell me if you agree. Was in what movie? What movie was Denzel in that was just the baddest performance that you've ever seen in your life? So put the name of the movie in the chat. I hope y'all agree with me. Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Now I know I got a picture of Farrakhan behind me, and I know the beef there. I know the issue there. Don't matter. Love them both. Ain't gonna stop that. So Denzel, remember that when Denzel performed in Malcolm X, greatest performance of all time, one of the top 10 for sure, the Oscars did not see him. They didn't see they didn't even they didn't even acknowledge that movie, right? They're like this movie does not exist. No one made this movie this year, and we're like, hey, we're here. Don't you see us? We spent millions of dollars seeing this movie, and they were like, no, what movie? What are you talking about? I can't hear you. I don't see a movie, right? But then remember, he went out and he did Training Day. And remember, Training Day was a different kind of look for Denzel. It's like, nigga this, nigga, my nigga. The cigarette, he's real cool, my nigga, And he was a villain. He was, King Kong ain't got nothing on me. I'm putting cases on all you bitches, right? I mean, just Denzel, like that man. Love Denzel as an actor because his presence is just undeniable, right? I saw Denzel. This is my little Denzel sidetrack. I gotta tell you the story. I went to see the play Fences on Broadway, or maybe it was off Broadway. And because Denzel was in it, I got a ticket to the third row. I wanted to be right there just to see it. And when I tell you, seeing him as an actor in person, even if I did not know who he was, I would have been like, who is that guy? Because you just knew he was there. And in the fourth act of Fences, his character dies, and the energy of the whole play just dropped. It wasn't the same play when he wasn't there. So anyway, but remember when Denzel did Training Day and he's acting like, let's just be clear, he's acting like a straight up ninja, right? I'm not gonna say the N word again, but he's behaving in a stereotypical way. It's like, oh my God, bravo, such amazing performance. We see you, we love you. We want to give you that, all these awards because and that's what it is, right? So a lot of times, so that's why I say thank you for seeing me. this talking to you is sacred for me because I can be I can be supported because of who I am, as opposed to in spite of who I am. Right? There's a big difference. I think that, and this is one of the reasons why Black-owned institutions are so important. Why we work so hard to build the Black Business School is because what happens when Black people, especially intelligent Black people like a lot of you, go into spaces that were not designed for you, they tolerate you as opposed to celebrate you. Tell me if you get what I'm saying, right? It's like I like you in spite of the fact that you're Black, as opposed to saying I love the hell out of you because of who you are, because you're Black, because you're like this, because you're like that, right? So this is why one of the biggest mandates for the next generation must be Black institutional development. You have to develop institutions in your own image so that you can create spaces where you will be celebrated. You want to develop institutions in your own image because you're not then sort of abiding by the rules. You get to make the rules, right? And one of the things that you can't get around is this fundamental truth that the Black community can't ever have power in America if all you're doing is training 10 million kids to go work for white people. And I have to say it that way to be clear, but I'm not saying it in that way to be anti-white. I don't dislike white people. That's the funny part. Like people think, oh, you don't like you're scary because no, I don't hate you. I just want to have what you got. I'm not mad at you. I just want to have some I want to have a little piece of you. You got freedom, I want some freedom. You got power, I want some power. You winning? Well, we winning too. I want us to win too. Right? Like no, so ultimately in this economic system, I encourage you to navigate it in such a way where you're able to see what you want and construct the reality that fits into the version of the world that you want to see. And it's difficult sometimes because you don't have all the capital that you need. You don't have all the power you need. I had a great opportunity to speak with the African American Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey with this great guy named John Harmon. I'm inviting John to the All Black National Convention too. I really like this guy. And one of the things I loved about their discussion is they talked about I don't recall at any point them talking about getting more jobs for Black people. They talked about getting capital for Black-owned businesses so that we can create our own jobs. I don't need you to cook for me because I don't even know what you're putting in the food. I want you to let me get access to the grocery store or to the farm so that I can get the food myself and I can cook for myself. So jobs, like food, are something that we should be creating for ourselves. If we create them for ourselves, then we can decide how these institutions are going to look, what they're going to, who's going to have the power, what the values are going to be. And those environments are much more comfortable and safe and fulfilling for us and for our children. So put your kids in a space that's going to make them warm and happy and feel welcome, not in spaces that are toxic and painful and destructive, right? Because that will affect their mental health. I don't care how rich you get in those spaces. Most people that are Black faces in high white spaces are many of them are miserable on the inside. They're making a bunch of money, but they have a bunch of stress. And I don't want that for you. I want you to have money and I want you to be happy. And then I want you to have free time on top of that. And if you master the economic system, all those things are possible. And it's definitely possible if you care enough about your kids and grandkids to create that reality for them. Okay. All right. So anyway, before I go, one more thing. If you want to come to the All Black National Convention in Atlanta, August 21st to the 23rd, you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. Somebody type that in the chat for me. It's allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you're interested in more of the stock market stuff, we do stock market Tuesdays, and I give you guys stocks that I like, stuff like that. And it's very easy to invest. I can show you everything you need to know. Just go to drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com. And last but not least, the Real Estate Investing Club is going to meet later on this week. I want to say Friday. We have an expert coming in that can help you either buy that first home, invest in rental property, or make whatever move you want to make in real estate. So if you want to take a look at our Real Estate Investors Club, you can go to drboycerealestate.com. That's drboycerealestate.com. So we have lots of stuff for you in the Black Business School. I hope you'll join us. I think we're great at what we do, and I'd love to help you to achieve whatever goal that you have. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. And sorry about the technical difficulties this morning. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention too is if you're listening and you're not already part of the morning class, just text the word morning to the number 87948. So if you text morning on your phone to the phone number 87948, you will get an invitation from me every morning. And I apologize to those of you that got the invitation and the link didn't work because I had the technical difficulty, but I'll see you all tomorrow.